Welcome to Reddit Reader. People who have attended weddings where someone objected. What happened? My wife was at a wedding where everyone wanted to object, but no one did. Everyone there except the priest and the groom knew the bride had been sleeping with the best man for the entire engagement. At the reception, the bride and the best man snuck off because they both thought it would be sexy to f in her wedding dress. 8 years later, the husband still has no idea, and they still hang out with his best man very frequently. My one cousin's wedding. This was in Ireland, so not the States, so weddings are very religious over there if you are a Catholic. We were just sitting there while the priest was talking. One of his friends got up and said, "Connor," not his real name, "I should have told you earlier, but she slept with me and one of our mutual cousins." He claimed he wouldn't be a good Catholic if he let it slide. Everyone gasped, but both my cousins pressed him. His story crumbled like crazy. My uncle punched him in the face, and we waited like 45 minutes. The priest said, "I don't endorse violence, but he deserved it." The wedding continued, and all went well. Only other thing that happened is cop took statements from a few people, including my uncle and the priest who didn't leave yet. Fun fact, the actual wording of the question asked if anybody knows any lawful reason why the marriage should not take place. In other words, if one of them is already married, or one is underage, or if the marriage is being forced, etc. She can't marry him because she's in love with me, only happens in the movies. Next wedding I'm at, priest. Does anyone know any lawful reason these two should not be married today? Speak now, or forever hold your peace. Me. Your fathership. I know of no less than 500 counts of this here groom jaywalking in his 30 years of walking so far. Not only must he consider himself an outlaw to society, but he is opening his bride up to an immense financial liability if he were to continue flaunting the laws we hold so sacred. Let's say they both live till death do them part at 90. I project he'll jaywalk another 1,500 times minimum, which could carry with it approximately $150,000 in fines and who knows how many court fees and relationship strains down the road. A road the groom has most certainly crossed illegally. Your bishopness, I rest my case. I didn't know these people then, but some of my friends who work at Disney did a wedding where they all had a part to play to make the wedding as chaotic and stereotypical as possible. There was the child who tasted the cake before everyone else ate, the drunk uncle, the people who proposed at the wedding, the underdressed cousin who made it all about themselves, the objector, the crashers, and a bunch more. There were like 100 people there. It really seemed like a fun wedding that only a bunch of theater kids could pull off. Nothing. The mom was a crazy jealous lady, and of course the husband was mature enough not to let anything ruin his or his wife's big day, so in the end, he no longer speaks to her for disrespecting him and his wife. Some moms are so controlling and toxically jealous that they can't see past their jealousy and feel entitled for their needs to be met before their own adult kids' needs. The only thing you can do is cut ties with all of them. A lot of moms ruin their sons' lives just because they want their needs met. I've seen many miserable boys marry girls their moms choose only to live a life longing for the one they let go, so I'm glad this guy did the right thing. Guys, take notes. Not necessarily objected, however, I was about to marry my beloved when officers arrived and told me that I needed to go with them. I was just as confused as my guest, but went with them, saying that it was likely a misunderstanding. Little did I know that I had been framed for being a part of the Bonapartist faction. Another man's jealousy had landed me in jail. My accusers wanted me to fail, but I pushed forward. Using my wits, I made my escape. I had learned that not only had 14 years passed since I was incarcerated, but my father had actually died and my beloved Mercedes had married another and had actually had a child with him. 14 years had passed. My face had altered dramatically. I could barely recognize my own reflection. I used this to my advantage as I plotted vengeance against my accusers. I've done AV work for churches as a side gig ever since high school, so I've worked at tons of weddings at several different churches with many different officiants. It's a nice way to earn a few bucks just for sitting around at a soundboard for an hour. I don't believe I have ever heard the "forever hold your peace" question asked in real life. I asked a preacher about it once. He said, "What good could possibly come from asking that?" There are definitely weddings where it does happen, but normal modern Protestant weddings in the U.S., it's not a requirement, and certainly not as common as movies and TV would have you think. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and subscribe so you do not miss our next upload.